Hey everyone, Greg here with LaserBit to show assembling the SNES LaserBit adapter. This is a SNES controller to USB adapter that we sell. In your kit, you're going to get a shell, you'll get 2 SNES cover plates, 2 circuit boards, a spacer block, and 14 pins. And if you get the full DIY kit, you'll also get an Arduino Pro Micro microcontroller. So to install this kit, we're going to start by installing our pins. So I find the easiest way to do a pin install on this kit is to use a existing SNES controller or some kind of wireless adapter. So I've got some of these 8-bit do Bluetooth adapters. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pins into one of these pin covers. Once I've got all 7 of them into the pin cover, then put it into the controller adapter. Now on the boards, one side is for player 1, the other side is for player 2. So the pins will come out away from each one of the sides. So for player 1, we're going to install it this direction. And then while the pins are in place, we're just going to come through and solder them down. You can give a fair amount of time with the solder, let it kind of flow down around the pin itself, not just over this top area here. You'll also notice that there is a jumper on these boards, and you have to set that jumper for the player that this is corresponding to. So since we did a player 1, we set the jumper to player 2, and just like that, we have one board done. Then we can set up for our next one. Same idea. Plug your pins into the connector. And then since we did player 1, we are going to do player 2 this time. Okay. And just like on player 1, we do need to set our jumper for player 2. Now we got the jumper set for player 2. Next step is to start assembling. So player 1 goes to the top, player 2 goes to the bottom. And the way that we do this, again, for me, it's easy to use this to kind of help me stabilize everything. What we're going to do is we're going to put these pins through this direction so that the long side goes through the main board. And if you see on this adapter, there's a little cutout shaped like the USB that sticks off this board. So you're just going to use that to help you align it to the correct side. And just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and put solder on these pins to lock them in place. You don't want a ton on here because what we're doing is we're going to actually mount the player 2 board to the other side of these pins, or to the tips of these pins. Didn't get any solder in that one. And just like that, we got all of those pins soldered up. So this is where the spacer comes into play. The spacer just sits on top of this board here. And we just set this board right on top. And then we're going to go through and solder the tips of these pins. Just give a little bit of solder to fill and flow into them. And just lengthening it. Still very warm. Okay, once we got that done, I'm just going to flip everything around so I can do this side. And we just do the same thing. We're just making sure all these pins are soldered in, and once all of this is soldered, make sure you get that front jumper on the Arduino so that it passes the 5 volts. And you'll be done with the soldering portion of this. Sometimes that little jumper can be kind of a pain to get to set. Here we go. All right, and then all you gotta do is put the little cover piece onto both sides. The shell has pass-throughs for the screws to go through, and you can see the direction that the pins line up in. It can be tight, but it should put together something like this. And then you run these two screws into either side here. And all that's left is to install the firmware. There should be a link in the product page to the GitHub repository for the firmware, which should have instructions on how to flash it. Flashing is done with the the most simple way to do the flashing is through the Arduino IDE. There's tons of guides out there on how to do it. The Leonardo is super easy because you just basically select Leonardo and hit run. And there you go. You have a completed SNES LaserBit adapter.